The Diablo IV team has released a new video. It is called Inside the Game, Your Class, Your Way. I believe that this is probably going to be about, class customization, build diversity, respec, maybe even Paragon tables, and who knows, maybe even a little bit of loot, legendary modifiers, and all of that stuff. So let's have a look at this video and see how we're feeling about it, because I'm going to be covering Diablo IV when it eventually releases anyways. So, if you are interested in more Diablo IV content, remember you can subscribe with the bell notification icon, all that jazz. And if you end up enjoying the video by the end of it, then hit the like button, because it really helps out with the algorithm and all that. Having said that, let's begin.
In the eternal conflict between the high heavens and the burning hells, Diablo IV offers you more choice than ever before. Player choice is infused into everything, from how you look, the skills you use, the loot.
The character creator was pretty cool, in my opinion. Like, I know that some people, they wanted more diversity and whatnot, but I was able to make some pretty decent looking characters, so I was all right with that.
The skills you use, the loot you equip, your path,
the skill tree,
the skills you use.
The skill tree, on the other hand, even though once you start playing the game, you kind of start understanding how it works. I feel like for newcomers in particular, this skill tree is kind of weird. The way in which it is displayed, particularly like in here, you're seeing it full screen. In consoles, by default, it only shows up on like half the screen, which, by the way, I'm going to be playing the game on console. Now I already know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you should play it on a PC, blah, blah. I like playing it with a controller. I don't give a damn what anybody else feels about that. It's just that simple. But anyway, on the console, it splits down the middle. Actually, it's not even the middle. It's like a third of your screen. So it makes it look even weirder. But I'm a little bit concerned with how weird this tree is going to feel to new players. And I know that a lot of people are like, I'm a Diablo veteran, I don't care about new players. You should care about new players, particularly when it comes to Diablo IV, because this is going to be a live service game. And guess what's going to happen if there's not enough players to sustain the long-term, the long-term management of the game? Guess what's going to happen?
The loot you equip, your path through the non-linear story to how and when you choose to explore the shared open world.
We want players to play their own way and have their own choice of how they're going to build their character.
Between all of our different systems, you can really...
Okay, so before we continue, let me just say, lead class designer. This guy right here is the guy who thought druids were fine in the beta. He's the one who thought, hey man, this Sork, just right. I'm joking. Beta balancing doesn't really matter. I'm just making a joke. Relax, everybody. Don't start crucifying me just yet. There'll be time for that later.
How they're going to build their character.
Between all of our different systems, you can really create a custom character in ways that was not available in previous Diablo titles. When you log into Diablo IV, the first thing you're going to have to do is create your character. And those familiar with Diablo are going to be very familiar with the screen with all the classes sitting around the campfire.
In Diablo IV,
I will say this particular character selection screen is extremely nostalgic for anyone who played Diablo II. That was a hit in the nostalgia right there. It is.
Fire.
In Diablo IV, we got 5 classes. The Barbarian is your fantasy of a fierce warrior fighter.
The Barbarian is the weapon master of Diablo IV, being able to pick up any weapon, jump into the fray, and do really badass stuff with it.
They're very strong, they're very physical. They can take different weapons for different situations and use them to their maximum effect.
The Sorcerer is really your elemental mage. You have fire, ice, lightning. You can either focus on one, or you can kind of be a jack-of-all-trades mage and use abilities from all 3.
They're a little more fragile than other classes, tend to be more ranged. The Rogue, unlike the Barbarian, they are a little bit more clever. They're very fast. They have the ability to imbue their weapons with different elements.
Now, wait a minute.
The Rogue, unlike the Barbarian, they are a little bit more clever. They're very...
A man just said barbarians are dumb. The hell do you mean? What is this classism that we got going on here? Oh yeah, we have the rogues, they're the smart ones. Then we have the barbarians, they're dumb. Bro, what the hell?
fast. They have the ability to imbue their weapons with different elemental energies, and they can modify them to do different things.
The rogue has two different types of play styles. You have the ranged crossbow type gameplay, or you have the in-your-face daggers, poisons. You can lead the enemies into traps that have huge effects, more stealthy type gameplay. And the druid is really this shapeshifter.
When you cast certain skills, you change your form, what you look like and what you can do. They can turn into werebears or werewolves. If I cast a werewolf skill, I turn into a werewolf and I do werewolf things. If I cast like pulverize, for example, which is a werebear skill, I turn into a werebear, I slam the ground really hard. Fits the fantasy, it's pretty cool. They can also become masters of nature magic with earth and store magic. Last but not least, we got the necromancer. They raise armies of the dead. They have different types of minions. You've got your
Best class.
skeletal warriors, your skeletal mages, and then your golem.
You have blood magic or bone magic that you can also take advantage of and tackle combat that way. If you've played a previous Diablo game and you enjoyed a certain play style, you can actually bring that into Diablo 4 or just try something completely new.
No matter which class you play, there's going to be multiple different.
So let's not go too far with that analogy. If you've played a previous Diablo game and you like a certain play style, you're just going to be able to bring it. Depending on how we choose to balance that play style on that particular month. I mean, listen, I'm just speaking from personal experience. Blizzard balancing. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
different avenues and fantasies that you can chase.
You can customize your character in ways you've never been able to before, with near-endless character creation and transmog options.
In previous Diablo games, you had to be attached to certain archetypes and look a certain way. And in Diablo 4, it's really up to you how you want your character to look.
You'll be able to choose from different facial structures from people all over the world. No matter where you are, you'll be able to say, hey, I can actually make someone that looks like me or looks like someone from my part of the world, which we're really proud of. You can pick a hairstyle for your character.
I wasn't able to make a barbarian that looked like me. Barbarian looked nothing like me. He had muscles and he wasn't fat. The druid, though.
And every class actually has a specific hairstyle that no other class can use. You can pick your eye color. We have some really fun ones. We have eye glowing. We have a bloodshot type eye. And then you can actually pick a marking, which is a tattoo or a design that covers your entire character. And there are dozens of those.
Transmog is the idea that you can take a piece of gear and change the appearance of it to look like a different piece of gear. As far as aesthetics, the sky's the limit.
So Transmog is actually a really good system that they have going. If it works like it did in the beta, at least from my experience, I'd be curious to hear from you guys if maybe you experienced more with the system, because I only played around with Transmog a little bit. I was mostly focused on gameplay. But it seems to me like Transmog is going to work in a similar way that it works in World of Warcraft, which basically means whenever you pick up a piece of, an item that gives your character, that makes your character look a certain way, it's like, hey, you've collected this Transmog. It's just added into your thing, and boom, done. And to me, that is a really good way to do Transmog, because, you're always getting new Transmog things, and then you can just go up to the, what was it called? Armoire. You can just go up to the closet, because that's what it translates to. They just put an armoire. But like, you can go up to the closet and change the way that the specific piece of armor looks, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Limit. However you can think of making your character.
Oh, and you can change the colors too. Like, look at this. You can select different pigments of colors for different, for different armor types, and I think that's pretty cool. It lets you really get into the nitty-gritty of customization. The big concern with me is that if you look at the stuff that is available in-game, and then you look at the stuff that was available in the store, the cosmetic items felt much more premium than the stuff that was in the game, at least from what I've seen, like, couple months ago. I don't know if it's changed since then or whatever. And that is one of the concerns that I always have. I feel like what you can get in game should be comparable to what you can buy in the store. And at that point, I don't really have a problem with people selling cosmetics. But if the stuff that is in the store feels and looks much more premium than the stuff that is in the game, that I have a problem with. So, yeah.
As far as aesthetics, the sky's the limit. However you can think of making your character, you can make it that way.
Everybody's going to look completely different in Diablo 4.
One of our pillars for class design in Diablo 4 is this idea that we want players to play the way that they want to. When you first start the game, we introduce you to the idea of the skill tree. As you level up, you get access to these different skills or passives or upgrades to make your character more powerful.
Each category has a few different skills that are all similar. They're either all defensive or all offensive, all ice or all fire. You can either focus on a very specific section or you can pick and choose.
The first skill point when you unlock a new skill is going to give you access to that skill. After that, you can put additional
See, one of the problems with a system like this, by the way, in a game like Diablo, is that it's not just about you, oh, I like this skill, I'm going to use this skill because I like this skill. It's also about whether or not the itemization in the game is going to support that skill, which is not always the case. So for instance, let's say that I'm playing a necromancer and I want to play bone spear, right? Oh, I just want to do I don't even remember if necros in D4 had bone spear or not, but let's say I want to do a bone spear. But there's no real good legendary affix for bone spear. Guess what that means? Eventually, when you start getting to endgame, like Bone Spear might be your favorite skill, it doesn't matter. If there's no good legendary affix that supports the usage of that skill, that's not going to make a difference. And therein lies one of the limitations that I believe is going to be in the game. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. I'm not criticizing it in advance. I'm just explaining that it's very easy to say, oh, we want players to play however the hell they want. But the reality of the situation is that's not always going to be the case. You have to find the way that you like to play that is also supported by the itemization of the game, as opposed to, no, I just want to find something that I like and play that way. Not going to work out in the long run.
Points into any skill that you have, and it's going to make it better, whether it increases the radius or adds some new effect or reduces the cooldown through some special way.
You can actually branch out in a very different direction, even if two characters actually started at the same place. The Paragon board is a late game system that once you've completely filled out your skill tree, you think you have a build, it will really let you delve into the theory crafting and the depth of Diablo 4's skill system.
And these boards, they can move through them spending their Paragon points, and they have nodes that give them very basic stats like intellect or dexterity. We also have...
I want you to pay close attention to this. Refund cost $53,000 per skill. Per skill. 10 skills, $500,000. I have a serious problem with this, but we'll get more into it. I just wanted to call out to your attention that refund carries with it a significant price. And one of the problems with this, and again, I'll get into more detail about this later in the video, but one of the problems with this is like, say you have a Whirlwind Barbarian. You made a Whirlwind Barbarian because you like the idea of playing with Whirlwind, and you're like, yeah, I'm a Whirlwind Barb, let's go. And then, you don't get a drop for Whirlwind Barbarian. You don't get like a good legendary drop because at the end of the day, drops are RNG. You can't just choose to have the game drop legendaries that support your build. You can grind and grind and grind, but at the end of the day, you're subject to RNG. And imagine if instead of that, you get like a legendary modifier for Upheaval, which is another barbarian skill, which was actually really good. I played a lot with Upheaval. I really liked it in the beta. So you get a legendary modifier for Upheaval, and now you're thinking, okay, so maybe instead of doing Whirlwind Barbarian, I'll do Upheaval Barbarian. But you're like friggin' 50 points deep into your Paragon tree, plus God knows how many points deep into your skill tree in the game. And now you have to take a major gold hit because you weren't lucky. I don't like that aspect of it. I think that's dumb. I know that there's a lot of people that stand by it. I disagree with you. Okay, look, it's just that simple. I don't hate you. I don't think that I'm right and you're wrong. I don't think that, you're right and I'm wrong. It's just a fundamental disagreement. I don't think that this is good design. Because, again, the game is RNG. And if I'm playing a Whirlwind Barbarian and I suddenly get a drop for Upheaval, the game shouldn't fight me in order for me to be able to use that drop. That's the way that I look at things. But we'll talk more about that.
We also have more powerful nodes. We have rare nodes that have different effects where they can totally modify a skill to do something additional or different, or they can even make new connections between skills so that players can have new ways to play their character. Legendary nodes are equivalent to legendary powers where they have more powerful effects that can change the builds in ways.
Legendary node, cheap shot, deal 5%. Oh, this is the same one that they showed last time.
That characters play.
You can start planning this long journey of, okay, I want to hit this node, and then I want to hit this node. I'm going to apply this board, and I'm going to start from this side, and really just get into a super complex, very specific build for your character.
Legendary items are really rare and powerful items that you're going to find as you adventure through the world of Sanctuary. We have quite a few different categories of legendaries and how they do that. Some of them will actually change your skill or enhance it in some way.
Frozen Orb, for example, it might say, hey, every single time you use your Frozen Orb, it applies a new effect. And then I can actually take advantage of that new effect that it has. Even if the item itself is maybe not as good as the one you have, you can still extract that power from it, take advantage of it, and use it for your build.
One thing that
Once you can extract that legendary power from that legendary item once. Which I feel like that is something that they should emphasize. See, this is another problem that I have with the way the game currently works, and that is that, you know, say I find a really good legendary item. It has a really good legendary power. I'll use the item for a little bit, and then eventually you out-level it in terms of gear score. Then you might be thinking, okay, now I'm going to extract the power and put it on another item. But because you can only do that once, then I'm going to be like, well, I'll just extract the power and keep it for when I get to max level. Then I'll put it on a very high item level item so that, you know, I don't waste this thing. Because otherwise, let's say, for instance, you pick up a really good legendary at level 20. And now by level, let's say 40, around level 40, that legendary is going to really start to feel like an anchor that's holding you down in terms of performance, right? So wouldn't it be cool to be able to, oh, I'll extract the power and put it on a level 40, not level 4, not item level 40, but you guys get the idea. Whatever item level is relevant for your character when it's level 40. I'm going to extract this and put it on that item. And then you would level up with it again, and then later down the line, you'd be able to extract it again. That would be cool. But because of the fact that you can only reapply it once, then you're going to be like, well, I'm just going to hold on to it forever. At least that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, because that's what makes the most sense. So again, it's another one of those situations where I just feel like you should consider what is fun, where should things be fun, and where should there be friction. And I don't think there should be friction in terms of like legendary affixes. And this is something that I believe Diablo 3 already did with Horadric Cube. You could extract powers, and then just, you know, once you extracted that power, you had fundamentally unlocked it for use throughout the rest of the season. At least that's the way that I think it was, but I didn't do too many Diablo 3 seasons, so let me know. But yeah, that's something that I would also like to see changed, but I guess they're holding on to their guns.
Our players can look forward to is that a lot of our classic, really rare, and most powerful items from previous titles are going to be returning as uniques in Diablo 4.
Wait, the Wind Force? Bro, I have a history with this bow. Lucky hit. Hits with this weapon have up to 18% chance to deal double the damage and knock back the target. Knockback? I don't think it had knockback. The thing that I remember Wind Force having was that it wouldn't miss. It was really fast and it wouldn't miss. Maybe I'm wrong, but like let me see the thing. There have been numerous world-shaping conflicts throughout history. This bow has been found on the battlefield of everyone and always in the hands of victors. Ain't that true? Let me tell you guys a little story about Wind Force. There was a time in Diablo 2 where there was this legendary item called the Barizza. And I used to do a lot of PvP back in the Diablo 2 days. And basically, whenever you'd have Amazons pick up a Barizza, like that was it. They would pour an entire build just to have this one. I mean, that's what you would do. You would pick up like one legendary. It's not a legendary. They were called uniques back then. But you'd get like one really powerful unique, and then you would make a character specifically for that build. That was kind of like the philosophy behind Diablo 2, right? So this weapon, the Barizza, was a crossbow. It was a very slow crossbow. And then what it would do is you have this shot in Diablo 2, which is called guided arrow, if I remember correctly. And that was like a homing arrow that would home in on your target, right? And it would just, with a normal weapon, it would just hone in on your target. Boom, you hit it, boom, done. But with the Bariza had piercing. And the way that it worked is if you'd fire a guided arrow, the shot would go through the character, right? Through the character, then turn around back through the character again, then turn around back through the character again. And you would fire like 3 or 4 of these shots, and these would be piercing characters back and forth, and it was disgusting. And it was the meta for PvP for good, at least I think it was the meta for Amazons for a good long while. And it was very frustrating for me because I never liked to see a super well-established meta and everybody just going cookie cutter balls deep into it. And back then, at least for me, there weren't that many resources that I was familiar with to like figure out how to solve that problem. But, you know, I would do these Mephisto runs that everybody would do at the time. You'd run because it was super fast to go and kill Mephisto. So you'd run, you'd kill Mephisto, and there was a chance for him to drop like uniques. And eventually in one of my runs, I think I was using probably a Sork to do this. So in one of my runs, it drops this bow, the Wind Force bow. And I remember seeing that the thing about the Wind Force bow is that it would not miss. It would miss. Like every time that, because Diablo 2 had this thing called hit rating, and hit rating meant that you had to, did you have to put points in hit rating or is it agility? I don't know. There was a stat that increased your hit rating and you needed to have hit rating. If you did not have hit rating, then your shots would miss. Shots, melee attacks, all of that stuff would have a chance to miss. So because the Wind Force never missed, I basically made an Amazon that just had whatever stat it was to increase the damage as much as possible. And I put a bunch of stuff to increase attack speed with the Wind Force. And then I would go up against Barizons, and they would be going like, with their slow-ass crossbow, like, chook, chook. And in the time that they would fire like 2 of their nonsense super piercing guided arrows, me with my Wind Force, I'd be going like a goddamn machine gun. And I would destroy them. And it was glorious. It was glorious. I ended the Bariza meta. In my head, anyway. But let's continue.
Unique items are very similar to legendaries, but they're unique, which means if that...
Ashiara's Kanjar. 21 basic skill damage, 9% damage to crowd control enemies, 25% movement speed, 4 seconds to skill and elite, 7% hit lucky chance, lucky hit chance. Hits with this weapon increase your attack speed by 4.5% up to 22%. See, this is an item that I personally don't think is particularly interesting. Like, I get it from like a performance perspective, really cool, but it doesn't really have anything that makes you go like, ah. Yes. Something like an interesting effect that actually changes the way you play, right? I mean, everything you have here. Oh, you deal more damage with basic skills. You deal more damage when you crowd control enemies. Hey, you get a little bit more movement speed after you kill an elite. And, you know, your lucky hits increase your attack speed. You attack faster.
Ability is actually on a chest piece.
Blood Artisan's Cuirass. 7% damage 4 seconds after picking up a Blood Orb. Blood Orb healing, total armor, 1 rank of Bone Spirit. When you pick up 6 Blood Orbs, a free Bone Spirit is spawned, dealing bonus damage based on your current life percent. See, this is a little bit more interesting because it's something that, when you do something, then something interesting is going to happen. But it depends on how many things you can get Bone Spirit to do, because then I think there's also stuff on your skill tree that allows Bone Spirit to, you know, do more interesting things. So this one's a little bit more interesting. And also, I think that there's something in the Necromancer tree that allows you to spawn more Blood Orbs. So you could use that to synergize with Bone Spirit. See, this actually changes things a little bit, so it's more interesting than the other one that's just like, hey, attack speed.
It's always going to be on that chest piece because it's more powerful than a regular legendary effect.
Crafting is a big part of Diablo 4. We have all kinds of different ways.
Wait. I want to hear what you said again. I'm sorry.
items are very similar to legendaries, but they're unique, which means...
One thing that our players can look forward to is that a lot of our classic, really rare, and most powerful items from previous titles are going to be returning as uniques in Diablo 4.
Oh,
unique
so
items are very similar to...
I was so absorbed by my stories that like I didn't even realize that these are uniques. Okay, that then I have... I expected uniques to be not just about the power, but actually like build defining things. Maybe this is, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't look enough into the rogue character to really see, but... Ooh, damage to distant enemies, 25%. Okay, this one's built. This one, yeah.
Unique items are very similar to legendaries, but they're unique, which means if that...
Ashiara's Conjar, so this is also a unique dagger.
ability is actually on a chess piece, it's always going to be on that chess piece because it's more powerful.
Wait, did I get...
It's more powerful than a regular legendary effect.
Okay.
Crafting is a big part of Diablo 4. We have all kinds of different ways that you could upgrade and interact with NPCs to make your gear better. You can increase the item level or power of your gear, so you can actually get a piece of gear and just make it stronger. You can also add sockets to your gear.
This is limited, so it's not like you're going to have, at least I don't think you're going to have like a level 20 item that you can take with you into endgame. I don't think that's a thing because there's a limit. As you can see, there's only like, this one says 4. I think it was 5 though. 5 levels of upgrade. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's 4 levels of upgrade. But yeah, there's a limit to how much you can bring an item up. Not to mention, I believe it gets prohibitively expensive closer to the end.
Gear so that you can put gems inside of it.
There are a lot of different ways that players will be able to customize their experience in Diablo 4. Every single player is going to have a different experience and a different build at the end of the day.
Because we have all of these different ways to make your own character, there's a lot more possibility compared to previous titles of how you want to play, how you want to build your character. We really are doubling down on this idea that you can look the way you want, you can play the way you want, you can really make your own fantasy in this game.
Hell welcomes all, and so does Diablo 4. In the coming weeks, we'll be sharing even more about how to play your way. Now, our launch on June 6th is getting closer. Closer still if you got early access. And we can't wait to see you in Sanctuary. Hail Lilith, Blessed Mother.
See, this just makes their decision to basically not, to not allow people to freely respec that much more weird. It's weird to me that they're like, we want you to play your way, we want you to do things your way, we want you to be able to do whatever you want, but we're going to screw you over on the respecs. Now, this is an article that was actually linked to me on Twitter where they say Blizzard says Diablo 4 respec costs are final. Oh my God, there's a mosquito in here, you bastard. Lilith probably sent him. We want players to actually get the chance to experience the system. It's like we have experienced the system in the beta, and even in the beta, I already thought that the respec costs were too much. This is my opinion. I know that a lot of people are like, you should have respec costs. It shouldn't just be free. And it's like, listen, it's not the year 2000 when we're playing Diablo and you'd get a friend to do a TP rush for you, where you just like, for those who don't know, TP rush, you would get somebody to basically teleport you throughout the whole story of the game because we didn't have adventure mode back then. So the point was to basically TP rush us to the point where we'd be able to just like grind XP super fast on new characters and so on and so forth. So you'd get a friend to TP rush you through the game, kill all the bosses for you so that you'd be able to just have a character set up and ready to be leveled up and you could enjoy it. It's like, listen, it's not that anymore. Okay, it's very different. And the level of engagement that Blizzard expects from each character is also going to be different and is going to be much more lengthy than it was back in Diablo 2. So now that a lot of people are like, oh, but I want to, you know, that Diablo 2 experience where I would just like level up a new character whenever I got a new unique item, and those were the days. And it's like, yes, those characters didn't take like, I don't know, 50 hours to get the max rank, to get the max level or whatever. You'd get a build online like sub 10 hours, okay? Those are very different times. You'd get a build online gigafast. That is probably not going to be the case for Diablo 4, especially with all of the systems that it has on top, the Paragon boards, all of these crazy things. And I think that a lot of people are thinking, oh, I'm just going to make a new character, it'll be fine. And they're going to be in for a harsh awakening when that time comes. So anyways, they say Diablo 4 Respec costs aren't changing before launch. Blizzard confirmed in a recent roundtable interview at Games Radar. Attended Diablo 4 Associate Game Director Joseph Pipora responded to feedback from players regarding the apparent cost of Respec a character as skillfully mined from recent endgame deep dive. Pipora explained that while the gold required to reallocate skill points will be the same at launch as what's been shown, which I haven't seen how much it was, but considering the escalation that it was in the beta, which you got to level 10, it was like, I don't know, 100 gold, something like that. And by the time you got to level 25, which was a cap, it was 4,000. In the second beta, they have that. But in the first beta, it was actually 4,000 gold per skill, which was a lot as far as I'm concerned. And as you can see there in the Paragon tables, it was like 53,000 gold per skill when the character had 4 million. So just getting rid of 10 skills would have been 500,000. It's like those numbers to me just don't add up. Pipora explained that while gold required to reallocate skills will be the same at launch as what's been shown, it won't be as expensive as it seems because you'll have earned a lot more gold later in the game. My point is, why does it have to be anything? Why does there have to be so much friction there? If anything, you should be encouraging players to experiment with all of these different builds as opposed to putting roadblocks in front of them and gold sinks. It doesn't make sense. I understand that Blizzard wants to but gold needs to be a meaningful resource. It's like, listen, gold is going to be getting farmed by Chinese players and is going to be worthless. Very much like gold in World of Warcraft is worthless. Very much like Gil in Final Fantasy XIV is worthless. There's always going to be Chinese gold farmers in every single game that are going to drive your economy down. It's just that simple. It's always going to happen. So why then are you making the experience of the average player more miserable to compensate for the fact of something that is going to happen regardless? I don't get it. Players earn a significant amount of gold once you start getting into those high levels where those respec costs begin to climb, but the respec costs are final. We have them for launch, and we're not planning on removing respec costs. We think they play an important role in asking players to start to harden up their build a bit once they get to that portion of the gameplay. You know what this reminds me of? I don't know how many of you guys played Shadowlands, but Blizzard was like, yep, the covenants are final. We're doing the covenant thing. Covenants are final. We're going to balance it real good. That didn't age well. We're going to balance it real good. It'll be fine. It's an RP thing. This is not going to be a problem. It was a major fucking problem. Everybody told you it was going to be a problem before the game released. And they only changed it very close to the end of Shadowlands when the damage was beyond done. They always have this thing, Blizzard, where they're like, "Nah, we're not going to listen to the feedback. This is our way because we know best." And it always, without exception, bites them in the ass. This is going to be one of those situations, 100%. Blizzard recently assured fans Diablo 4 Respec fees won't be prohibitively expensive. Yes, they will. Just look at the example in the video, dude. What do you mean they're not? Look at this. Where's this example with the Paragon boards? Let me just look it up real quick. I'm sure we should be able to find it. Here it is. Look, here's the example with the Paragon boards. Just show me the skills.
We also have more.
Wait, there. It was right there. It was right there. Let me just go back a couple of frames. Ah, damn it. Come on. Jesus, YouTube, please.
We also.
Oh my God. There we go. Refund cost $53,000. Currently available gold 4 million. Assuming this is an accurate representation of what you can expect at this level. Refunding 10 skills off of this Paragon board is going to be $500,000. For 10 skills. Look at the amount of skills that are in here. Imagine how much it costs for a full respec. It's not just prohibitively expensive. It is impossibly expensive, given into account the amount of gold this character currently has. And we're not even talking about, changing stuff in the skill tree. We're just talking about the Paragon board itself. So just keep that in mind. Piporak would send him in a new interview that said Blizzard clearly wants there to be some weight behind your decision regarding the skill tree in your Paragon system. It's a bit expensive, but it's not the sort of thing you simply can't achieve it. Oh, you can achieve it all right through diligent farming. You will naturally have earned a great deal of gold by the time you reach that stage of the game, and this is a way for you to spend some of it if you choose. But we want players to feel like there are important decisions they're making along the way, to feel like they're not permanent. They can always back out of these things, but they're intentional. We'll always be looking at data. We'll be considering the feedback, blah, 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 blah. We're going to do this the way that we say we're going to do it, and we don't care what you say about it. That's basically the way that it goes. And this, I think, is going to be a huge mistake for Diablo 4. But to be quite honest, it's probably not going to be something that's going to affect me that much because I don't plan on getting too involved in the seasonal content. I just want to play a little bit of the story, see what the gameplay feels like, and then probably move on because I don't see myself getting on the hook for like every season, new battle pass, give me money, money, money. It's like, no, it's like, listen, I just want to have a nice, good Diablo story because Diablo 3 story was terrible. I actually like the story of Diablo 2, and Diablo 4 seems like it's going in a good direction. Hopefully it'll keep me entertained for a while, but unlike a lot of people, I'm not looking at this as like a 2,000-hour game. Maybe it will be. Maybe that'll be a nice surprise, but I'm looking at it like maybe a 100-hour game and probably be done with it. So this Respec thing isn't even going to be bothering me that much. I'm just concerned about the game as a whole for everybody else because I just don't think the whole Respec thing makes sense. But other than that, the rest of the stuff looks good. I've already played the beta. I know that I want to play the game, so it's whatever. I still think that the business model is not great, but it is what it is. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy the dislike button, feedback is important. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.